The Americans has had a rough ride on UK broadcast TV. It began its life over here on Saturday nights on ITV, on mainline TV actually. Then they moved it around during that run till later and later on the Saturday. They stuck with it for the second series, but then moved it to Encore for series 3 and 4 and 5. And now series 6, now that Encore is just around the corner from Encore's closure, somebody on Twitter got in touch with me to say, Luke, you didn't include it in the recent TV week. And I'm like, well, I couldn't find it anywhere. It's on Wednesday nights at 9 on ITV4. ITV Encore is closing, but it's not closed yet. So you think they'd just stick it on there till it closed. But no, it's on ITV4.
I think that's a good thing, because ITV4 is a Freeview channel, so everyone can watch it.
Everyone can see it. Okay, so The Americans is back for 10 final episodes. This is the 6th and final series of the show that began life in 2013. If you're completely new to it, then it's the story of 2 Russian spies and their children living in suburban America. They happen to be living next door to FBI agent Stan Beeman, played by the brilliant Noah Emmerich.
Across the road.
You're so pedantic. No one else would have said that. I won't even edit it out because you're right, but it still annoys me. So they live across the street from FBI agent Stan Beeman. So youngest daughter Paige, over the course of the series, she's had a really interesting arc, but when we meet them again here, she's been slowly, after last series being more intrigued by what her parents doing and in on the act, she is now part of what they do to an extent. Philip, husband of the family, left his work as a spy at the end of the last series, and he is running their fictional, or somewhat fictional, travel agent.
Because Paige is at college now as well, so she's obviously been sort of integrated into that system over the last 3 years, and Philip, obviously being out of it now, has sort of grown the travel agency business.
It means, of course, that Elizabeth, who was always the more passionate of the two, is becoming more haggard and more weighed down by doing the work of 2 people on her own as well. And there's some strains in the marriage, because although there was always some separation there and they couldn't always discuss things together, now she's living an entirely sort of secret life and going about it the best she can solo.
I suppose the other thing to say is that the political climate has changed in the last 3 years, and Russia has become a lot more westernized than it was in 84, I think, the last, if we've jumped 3 years. And we've got Oleg coming back to America from Russia. He's got a young son now. Stan is still with Renee. We still don't know if she's dodgy or not.
There was a very interesting brief scene where Elizabeth's doing the washing up at Stan's house, and Renee's having a conversation with the wife of the other policeman that Stan works closely with.
FBI agent Dennis, his name is.
And they talk about the fact that they're still on the hunt for this couple who they're aware of. I don't think they've actually mentioned them looking for this couple since maybe the 3rd series.
Well, this is the only thing that they're still working on together, apparently.
It's
so
the thing that's keeping them together as a duo. Philip is enjoying running his travel agency. He's taken up line dancing, but towards the end of this episode, he's drawn back in when he wants to discuss something with Elizabeth that Oleg has talked to him about, and there's just a lot of tension between the pair. Elizabeth is starved of sleep. She's exhausted. As I said, she's taken on the work of the 2 of them.
Undercover, she's she's pretending to be the nurse of the dying wife of someone who's in the negotiating team for some sort of weapons negotiations. Is it with the USSR, between the US and
the reason
US and
Matt
Russia?
Matt is struggling is not because memory, but what I always forget is the Americans doesn't explain everything to you to begin with at all. You just have to go with the
flow. Because it puts you in the middle of
yeah.
the missions, doesn't it? Like the stuff with Swan in the last season, you had to sort of work out for yourself what they were doing, why they had this Korean child all of a sudden.
Plus, I was the first minute and a half. I was watching, but I was also singing aloud to "Don't Dream It's Over" by Crowded House.
There are reasons within. But then you got back to the old favourites like a bit of Peter Gabriel, a bit of Fleetwood Mac.
Can you imagine the money that Peter Gabriel must earn from this show alone?
He wrote a new song for it, didn't he, at one point?
I didn't know that, but yeah.
There was an original song that he wrote, I think, around season 3. But yeah, they've said, Peter, we've using your music quite a lot.
We've run out of spooky Peter Gabriel songs. Will you please write us another one? No.
What year was Sledgehammer?
86. They just missed that.
Oh,
they could still use it. Yeah, they could.
But anyway, we're talking about music.
We've digressed. We've had 6 series of it. We know the score by now, but I just found that the time, I think it was about 52 minutes without the ads, and it just whizzed by for me. I was never bored. I was always, aside from Crowded House, I was always engaged with it, and I just find it an immensely confident show that knows exactly where it's going, even if we don't. I just enjoy spending time with those people because we're 6 series in, we've got the connection, we've got who they were and who they are now, and I found it really engaging, and I can't wait. Every week now, this is a highlight for me, and I don't want it to end because it's one of those shows that every year I look forward to, but at the same instance, if it's going to end and it's going to end well, which I'm sure it is, I can't wait to see what the end game is.
It's one of those you just sort of relax into and you just sort of go with it. And lack of exposition is one of the things that it's got going for it. They've been doing this for a while. You just have to go with it and sort of read between the lines as you go on. And
I still can't decide whether I want a big showdown between the Beamans and the Jennings, or whether, because in normal life you'd imagine that all these Russian spies did their thing and nobody was any of the wiser. That's what the whole show is about. So they might just, never let on to the Beamans or to Stan who they really are. But I would be a tiny bit disappointed at that, because you don't stick them across the road from an FBI agent for that long for it not to pay off. I want Stan to have that moment of realization of these people are friends. These people I've almost brought their children up alongside mine, and I can see a situation where Stan helps them escape or something. I can see that.
And I think the other interesting thing is what it's building up to is the summit between Reagan and Gorbachev. It's like 9 weeks before that summit, and there's people who are sort of anti-Gorbachev, and there's the general who wants to launch this doomsday device. So there is a sort of ticking clock element to this season in so much as they're building up to this summit. So, and I think that's why Joe Weisberg wanted to sort of do the jump, and I suppose it allows to tell more story as well, doesn't it? Work out what's gone on in the interim time that's sort of passed and stuff.
I just think Matthew Rhys and Kerry Russell are brilliant. I hope that they don't separate them too much, because them together are, as a pair, are just really, really engaging on screen. So The Americans is getting a UK airing. In fact, by the time this podcast has gone out, you will have missed the first one, and that is completely my fault for not alerting you.
But it might be on the hub.
It's had a checkered past on ITV, but I'm glad through whatever channels, literally, they've managed to keep it on ITV or some form of ITV for the entire series run.